If you spend enough time at the theory crafting discords, or, if you punish yourself watching high-end PvP streams for ES, there's this one mantra you always end up hearing.
Oh, yeah. It always comes up right after someone complains about getting deleted in Cyrodiil.
Right. Or they're wondering why their huge healing per second numbers didn't save them.
It's the welcome to the meta moment for every support player. It really is a rite of passage.
Exactly. And the mantra is this: if you are trying to out-heal burst damage, you are already dead.
It sounds a little dramatic, almost like a movie tagline, but in the current game, it's just mathematically true. If you're reacting to damage with the heal, you're already playing a frame behind the server.
And that is exactly what we are unpacking today. This is not a guide on how to get your healing done numbers to look pretty on a scoreboard.
No padding stats on players who aren't even in danger.
We're doing a deep dive into what we're calling shield logic. We've pulled info from Icy Fire Gaming, the Radcast podcast, Britsonia's PvP guides, and the latest patch notes breakdowns from people like Arzile and Hyperiox's.
We're looking at the specific tech, the build philosophy, that lets support players survive those huge coordinated ultimate dumps.
The goal today is to explain how you can carry your team simply by refusing to die. We're calling it the survival carry.
I love that, the survival carry.
Because if you're alive, you are a problem for the enemy. If you're dead, you're just a loot drop.
Simple as that.
So here's the mission for this deep dive. First, we're going to break down the math. Effective health versus raw healing. We really have to understand why one saves you and the other, well, it basically baits you into dying.
Then we'll get into why shields are just mechanically superior when lag hits, or when a coordinated group decides to drop everything on your head at once.
We also have some critical source-backed updates on the Dragon Knight shield buffs that are coming, and how the new scribing system is sort of democratizing shields for everyone else.
Yeah, that's a big deal for classes that traditionally didn't have great options there.
And finally, we're going to give you the survival loop, a literal step-by-step checklist for gameplay that lets you 1vx as a support player. Or at least survive it.
Right. Survive, not necessarily win. It's a different goal.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning.
Yeah.
The core concept. Healing versus shielding. To someone new or maybe a PvE player coming into PvP, they sound like they do the same thing, right? Keep the green bar full. But you're saying they're fundamentally different mechanics.
They're opposites, at least in terms of timing and intent. Think of it like this. Healing is reactive. It's maintenance.
Okay.
You take damage, your health drops to, say, 50%, and you cast a spell to bring it back up to 100. That whole process relies on one huge, very dangerous assumption.
You survive the hit in the first place.
Precisely. In a meta that's dominated by coordinated groups, ball groups syncing their ultimates, that's a very, very risky assumption to make.
Because if the damage spike is bigger than your health bar,
you're just dead. Before the server even registers your heal, it doesn't matter if your heal could have crit for 50,000 if your health bar is already at 0.
So shielding is, what then? Is it like insurance?
Shielding is proactive. I like to call it permission to live.
Oh, I like that.
When you cast a shield, like an Arcanist's Ward ally or a Sork's Hardened Ward, you are effectively adding temporary maximum health to your bar before the damage even arrives. You're just changing the math required to kill you.
Icy Fire Gaming has a line in his PvP healer guide that I think frames this perfectly. He says, your number one priority is keeping yourself alive. Quote, a dead healer is useless. It sounds a little selfish, doesn't it?
It sounds selfish if you're coming from a PvE mindset, yeah, where the healer just stands in the back pumping out green numbers. But in PvP, it's probably the most selfless thing you can do for your team.
How so?
Well, think about a traditional PvE-style healer. Maybe 20k health, all light armor, massive spell damage for big heals.
You're a glass cannon.
You're a free kill is what you are. A Nightblade opens on you from stealth, and you're gone in 2 global cooldowns. Then what happens?
Your team loses their purges, their buffs, their sustain. They fall apart.
Right. But if you build for shield logic, and that means high health, we're talking pushing 40k and stacking shields,
Yeah.
you create a buffer, and that buffer buys you something raw healing never can.
Time.
Reaction time. Exactly. Time to access your defensive toolkit.
To block, to roll dodge.
To break line of sight. Pure healing puts you on this treadmill where you're constantly just sprinting to stay in the same place. Shielding lets you step off the treadmill, reposition yourself, and completely reset the fight.
Okay, I want to drill down into why healing fails in what everyone calls the burst window. The Ratcast crew brought up this This nightmare scenario that I think every PvP player has lived through. The Necrocolossus plus Dawnbreaker plus Shocks combo.
Yeah, that's the classic sync or ult dump. So let's picture the timeline. You've got a Necromancer dropping Pestilent Colossus. That hits you with major vulnerability. Instantly, you're taking 10% more damage from everything.
Which is already a bad start.
It's a terrible start. And at the exact same moment, a Warden hits you with Deep Fissure the Shocks, which hits like an absolute truck and breaches your armor. And then at the same time, a Templar or someone with Fighter's Guild hits Dawnbreaker for a Sun and a DOT.
And all of that happens in, what, a second?
Less. Maybe 0.5 to 0.8 seconds. It is, for all intents and purposes, instantaneous to the human eye. And often to the server, too.
Okay, so if I'm relying on my hotkeys, my heal over time spells like Radiating Regeneration or Echoing Vigor, what happens in that half-second window?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's the math problem. A standard hotkey ticks every 2 seconds.
Right.
In a half-second burst window, that hotkey might not tick at all. Or, best case, it ticks once for maybe 2,000 health. Meanwhile, you just took 35,000 damage.
So the hotkey is technically working, but it's completely irrelevant. It's like bringing a watering can to a house fire.
Exactly. It fails. It completely fails. Shields, on the other hand, are instant effective HP. If I have a 10,000 point shield up when that burst hits, that's 10,000 damage that never even touches my actual health.
It just gets absorbed.
It absorbs the spike. And then after that burst window closes, your hotkeys can do their job and top you back up. But the shield is what bought you the ticket to even see the next second of the fight.
Okay, let's get into the numbers then, because this is where the theory becomes practice. We threw around 40k health earlier. Icyfire Gaming is really clear on this. He says the old school idea of a 25k health healer is just dead. Why is that target specifically 30k, pushing 40k?
It all comes down to the time to die calculation. You have to think in terms of effective health. If you have 40k HP and you cast a shield, let's say a DK's Fragmented Shield or an Arcanist Shield, and that's worth another 10k or 15k?
Your health pool is effectively 55k.
Right. Your time to die calculation is now based on a pool of 50 to 55k damage. Now, compare that to the 25k health healer. Even if that squishy healer can heal for 20k a second, it doesn't matter. If they take 26k damage in one hit, which is very possible with the combo we just described, they're dead.
The healing output is irrelevant because the health pool was too small to begin with.
It never got a chance to work.
But isn't there a trade-off? If I put all my attribute points into health to hit 40k, aren't my heals going to be, weak? I won't have the Magicka pool to sustain them?
That's the common fear, and it's a valid concern. But you have to look at how stats really work in ESO PvP. Most of your healing power comes from spell damage, and your max stat, yes. But here's the critical part that gets overlooked. Critical healing adds 50% value unmitigated. A shield, however, benefits from your defensive stats. It benefits from your mitigation.
Okay, explain that relationship. How do shields and armor actually interact?
This is a huge point people forget. Shields inherit your mitigation.
Yeah.
So if you have high physical and spell resistance, your shield is just physically harder to break.
Right.
Icyfire brings up the set Pariah constantly. Pariah increases your resistance as your health drops.
So if I'm at low health, my armor goes way up. But if I cast a shield on top of that low health,
that shield benefits from your now sky-high armor rating. Let's do some quick napkin math. 660 armor is roughly 1% mitigation. If you're stacking armor to the cap, which is around 33k resistance, you are mitigating 50% of all incoming damage.
So a 10,000 point shield
Effectively absorbs 20,000 points of raw incoming damage before it breaks. By building tanky, you're essentially doubling the value of every single shield you cast.
And a glass cannon healer with, what, 10k resistance?
They cast a 10k shield and it just pops. It breaks in one hit.
Right.
A tank healer with 33k resistance casts that same shield. It might take 2 or 3 big hits to break. That's a massive difference in efficiency.
It really is.
And there's one more mathematical trade-off we need to look at here, which is resources. This came up in the Ratcast, and Icyfire talked about it, specifically with the Dragon Knight skill Cinderstorm.
Cinderstorm, right? That's the ash cloud that slows enemies.
It slows them by 70%, which is huge, but look at the resource exchange. It costs Magicka to cast about 378 per second. But because of the DK passives, when you cast it, it returns stamina around 990 stamina per second.
That seems a weird trade for a healer.
Yeah.
Normally you're hoarding Magicka to cast heals. Why would I want stamina?
Survival. What is the #1 use for stamina in TvP?
Blocking, dodge rolling, breaking free.
Exactly. The entire defensive meta relies on your stamina bar. So the math here suggests that trading magicka, which you use for shields and heals, to gain stamina, that allows you to block. Blocking creates mitigation. Mitigation makes your shields last longer. It's a perfect little ecosystem.
Whereas a pure healing build often just burns through magicka to restore health, runs out of stamina, can't block, and then just gets run over.
Yeah, that's the death spiral right there.
So you're basically converting your blue bar into your green bar to keep your red bar from emptying.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
I want to move into the why. We've hit on the burst window, but looking at our sources, there are really 5 clear reasons why shields beat healing in the current game. We've nailed reason 1, burst mitigation, preventing the one-shot. What's reason 2?
Reason 2 is battle spirit and all the healing debuffs.
Right. Battle spirit is that passive debuff on everyone in PvP. It cuts healing received by a huge amount.
It cuts healing by about half, sometimes more depending on the patch. And then on top of that, players are applying major and minor defile. Your healing output is constantly being strangled. Now, shields are also dampened by battle spirit, but they have a very unique advantage.
Which is?
They don't suffer from overhealing waste.
Okay, explain that concept, overhealing waste.
So if you're at 100% health, and I
Whoa.
panic and I cast a massive burst heal on you, what just happened?
All the magicka was wasted. It did nothing.
You did absolutely nothing. But if you're at 100% health and I cast a shield on you,
It just sits on top.
it's money in the bank. It's prepaid effective health, just waiting for the damage to come in. You can never waste a shield in the same way you waste a heal. A shield at full health is preparation. A heal at full health is a mistake.
That makes a lot of sense. Reason 3 comes from Brishunia's content on fighting outnumbered, line of sight, and repositioning.
Brishunina is adamant about this. She says kiting is non-negotiable. When you're fighting outnumbered, you have to constantly move between cover, rocks, towers, trees, whatever you can find.
And there are always those moments where you have to cross open ground to get to the next safe spot.
Right. And if you're just relying on healing, you take what we call flesh damage while you're moving. That pressure puts you on the back foot. You get to the next piece of cover at half health, already panicking.
But with a shield,
You shield before you step out from behind the tree. You can cross that gap, take 3 or 4 hits, and your actual health bar hasn't even moved. You arrive at the next tower with full health, ready to reset the fight. A shield buys you those 2 or 3 seconds of safe movement.
I love that image. A shield as a safe passage ticket. Okay, reason 4 is something I hadn't really thought about until I read the Icy Fire transcript. Blocking synergy.
This is huge for the whole tank healer playstyle. The mechanic is so simple. You can hold block while you have a shield up. The damage hits the shield first, and then whatever gets through is reduced by your block mitigation.
But a lot of healing spells break block, don't they?
Many of the big ones do, yeah. Specifically channels. We talked about practiced incantation, the Templar ultimate, the big Jesus beam heal.
Right.
In the Ratcast, they just tore this ability apart for PvP. They pointed out that you cannot block while you're channeling it.
So you're just standing there glowing gold, healing everyone.
And you're a sitting duck. An enemy just walks up and bashes you or drops a Dawnbreaker on your face. You're completely vulnerable. Shields let you maintain your defensive posture blocking while still having that protection active.
And finally, reason 5. Pre-buffing teammates. This came up a lot with the Brands of Imperium set.
Yeah, Brands of Imperium gives a shield to your group when you take damage. Or you can use skills like Ward Ally. The psychological effect this has on your DPS players is real.
How so?
If they look at their health bar and see that gray bar, that shield over their health, they're much more likely to play aggressively. They know they have a safety net. It allows your entire team to push with more confidence.
It's a confidence buff. You're buffing their confidence.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're sold. Shields are the way. But how do we actually do this? We promised 10 secret tips and tricks based on these deep dives. Let's run through them. Tip number 1, you mentioned that mud visual earlier.
The mud kiting tech. This is straight from Ratcast and Icy Fire. You take Cinderstorm or Ash Cloud, you find a pillar, a tight corner, some kind of obstacle, you cast it right there. It slows enemies chasing you by 70%. It literally turns the ground to mud for them.
So you can just run circles around.
We'll run around the pillar, they try to follow, they get stuck in the mud, and all the while you're healing and getting stamina back. It creates a gap that lets you survive and reset.
I love that. Okay, tip 2, shield layering.
This is a big one from Britt Zernia. Never, ever rely on just one shield. You want layers. You want to set shield-like brands of Imperium that procs automatically. Then you want a class shield you can cast, like Ward Alley or Fragmented Shield. You layer them. If one breaks, the other is still there, and you combine that with a well-timed roll dodge.
Layers of defense. Tip 3 is the one we touched on. Stop channeling, start blocking.
Yeah, this is the Ratcast rule. Just do not use practiced incantation out in the open. It's a death trap. If you need an emergency ultimate, you use Life Giver from the Resto staff line. It's instant. Or you use Magma Shell, which makes you basically invincible. Don't channel when people are trying to kill you.
Tip 4, the 50% resource rule.
This is a Brickazernia special. Never, ever let your stamina drop below 50%. If you get CC'd and you have no stamina to break free, you die. End of story. Use Treepaw's Essence of Health on cooldown. Don't save them for an emergency. Use them to keep your recovery high so you never hit that 0% stamina panic point.
Tip 5 is an advanced one. Baiting the ult dump. That sounds risky.
It is, but it's high-level play. The Ratcast crew talked about recognizing when an enemy team is about to sync up. You see them moving together, you see the bucks go up. Instead of running, you block and you shield early. You let them waste all their ultimates on your mitigation. They spend their resources, you survive because of the shields, and now they have nothing left.
And that's when you counter.
That's when you counter, or your team cleans them up. You just acted as a giant sponge.
Tip 6, positioning on high ground.
Verticality is your best friend. Heal from the top of stairs, from towers. Brittalonia does this all the time. Shields let you peek over the edge, drop a heal or a buff, and if you take a sniper shot, it just hits the shield. You back up, you're fine. Without that shield, that sniper shot puts you in execute range.
Tip 7, this is my favorite. The sticky heal rule.
Yeah.
Because, randos run away from ground heals.
They always do. It's like a law of the universe. You put down a beautiful glowing circle of healing, and your teammate immediately rolls out of it. So both Icy Fire and Britsunia say you have to use sticky heals. Things like Radiating Regeneration, Echoing Vigor, Ward Alley. These are spells that stick to the player. It doesn't matter where they run, the heal or the shield goes with them.
Tip 8, utilization of selfish defense.
Right, there's this weird stigma against supports wearing selfish sets like Pariah or Trial by Fire, but the logic is completely sound. If the healer survives, the team has a mobile spawn point, or at least a source of resurrection. If you die because you're wearing some group buff set that makes you squishy, you help no one.
Don't be afraid to be selfish to stay alive.
Exactly. It's the most selfless thing you can do.
Tip 9 involves the new scribing system.
Yeah, Doc ESO highlights this one. You can now scribe a skill called Warding Contingency. You can actually customize it to give you a shield, growing impact, and minor protection. This is massive because it gives any class access to a reliable shield source that isn't tied to their default class kit.
It levels the playing field.
It democratizes the tank healer playstyle.
And finally, tip 10, don't overlap mistakes.
This is a big mindset tip from Brittlinia. If you have a shield up and you are safe, do not panic roll dodge. You are just wasting stamina. Trust your shield. Only spend that precious stamina when you actually need to break a route or dodge a telegraphed heavy attack. Don't double spend your defensive resources.
That is a ton of great, actionable advice. I'm going to look forward now. We've got some source material on the upcoming patches, and it looks like Dragonites are eating very well in the shield department.
Oh, they really are. RZL and Hyperioxes covered the DK rework for Update 49 pretty extensively. The huge change is to Fragmented Shield.
How is it changing?
It used to scale off max health, but the numbers weren't always amazing. Now, the shield size scales with the higher of your max magicka or max stamina, but here's the kicker. It's capped at 31% of the recipient's max health.
Wait, 31% of their max health. So that my teammate has 20k health, they get a small shield. If they have 40k health,
they get a massive shield. This change is specifically designed to incentivize the high health builds we've been talking about. It solidifies the tank healer meta. The game is telling you, if you want big shields, you need big health.
And what about Magma Shell, the ultimate?
RZL noted that the radius on Magma Shell is increasing to 28 meters, which is huge for group coverage, and the shield size is going up to 133% of the target's max health.
133%.
Yeah. It effectively doubles their health bar instantly. And again, it's scaling off max health. The game designers are practically screaming at support players to build for health.
It sounds like DKs are going to be the absolute kings of shield support.
Yeah.
But what if you're not a DK?
That's where Scribing comes back in. Doc mentioned Warding Contingency and Healing Burst from the Soul Magic line. These skills let classes like Nightblades or Sorcerers who might have lacked a good group shield tool to just slot one in. It levels the playing field a bit, but yeah, DKs are going to have the raw numbers advantage in the next patch.
And if someone wants to test these values themselves, how would they do that?
It's a simple test plan. Find a friend, go to a duel, have your partner hit you with a specific repeatable burst combo, record your time to die with a 30k health build, then do it again with a 40k health build plus shields. The difference will be very obvious.
So we know the theory, the math, the patch updates. Let's put it all together. I'm in Cyrodiil. I'm surrounded. I want a 1vx as a support. Now, normally 1vx means one player killing 10 others, but you're calling this the survival carry.
Right. The mindset has to be different. You are not there to kill those 10 players. You are there to survive them, to waste their time, and to escape. Every single second that 10 players spend chasing you, this unkillable tank healer, is a second they aren't capturing a flag or killing your DPS.
You're a distraction engine.
That's the perfect term for it.
So give me the build framework. How do I become that engine?
Okay, based on the sources, here's a checklist. For stats, minimum 30k HP, but you're really pushing for 40k plus, you can use something like the Death Dealer's Fate Mythic to help with that. Max Magicka, you want to cap that around 30k. Icy Fire says anything more is basically a waste. And you want high recovery, aiming for 2600 or higher.
And for sets?
For defense, Pariah is the gold standard that keeps coming up. Your resistances just skyrocket as your health drops. For utility, Rallying Cry is mentioned a lot. It gives crit resist to you and damage to your team. And for shields, Brands of Imperium is the go-to for that automatic group shielding.
Okay, I'm wearing the gear. I'm at a resource flag. 3 enemies jump me. What is the survival loop? Walk me through the rotation step by step.
All right, step 1, pre-buff. You must have Major Resolve active 100% of the time. Do not ever let your armor buff drop.
Hold on.
Step 2, engagement. As soon as you see them coming, you apply your hot teas, like Radiating Region, and you cast your pre-shield, Ward Ally, or just position to let Imperium proc. Do not wait to take damage. Shield first.
Okay, they hit me. My health drops a bit through the shield. Now what?
Step 3, pressure. You hold block. Eye staff, sword, and shield doesn't matter. You let their initial burst hit your block and your shield. You absorb it.
Okay.
Step 4, kiting. You use Cinderstorm, or your class equivalent, on the corner of the flagpost. You slow them down. You turn that ground to mud.
They're slowed. I'm blocking. I'm moving.
Step 5, reset. Now you break line of sight, run around the tower, run up the stairs. While they're stumbling through your mud, you refresh all your buffs.
And then step 6 must be re-engaging.
It is, but, and this is the most crucial part, you only re-engage or even peak out when your resources are back above 50%. If you are low on stamina or Magicka, you just keep running. You repeat that loop over and over until they give up or until your team arrives to clean them up.
Survive, waste enemy time, escape. I like it. It feels incredibly annoying in the best way possible.
It is so frustrating to play against, and that's why it wins games.
So, to wrap this all up, we've unpacked a ton. The core thesis seems pretty simple. Heals are maintenance, shields are permission to live.
That's it. If you take one thing away from this whole deep dive, it should be that. In a high-damage environment, you need permission to live before you can even think about topping up health bars.
And we've seen that classes like Dragon Knights and Wardens really optimize this tank healer style, while Templars, at least according to the Ratcast crew, can be a bit clunky and immobile for this specific kind of play.
Yeah, the Plar struggle is real in a mobile meta, but the principles still apply. High health and shields will help everyone, regardless of class.
So for the listener who wants to go try this tonight, what are the 3 actionable next steps?
First, go into a battleground and just practice shield timing. Stop staring at friendly health bars.
Yeah.
Watch the enemy. When you see them wind up an attack or start a channel, shield them. Practice shielding before the damage, not reacting to it.
Okay, step 1. What's step 2?
Change your metrics. Stop looking at total healing done on the scoreboard. That's a vanity stat. Look at your deaths. Your goal is 0 deaths. If you did 2 million healing but you died 8 times, you failed. If you did 500k healing but died 0 times and held a flag for 5 minutes, you won.
And finally,
Practice the loop, run 10 matches, and force yourself to follow that checklist we just went through. Pre-buff, shield, block, kite, reset. Prioritize blocking and kiting over trying to cast 1 extra heal. You have to rewrite your muscle memory.
I love it. A provocative final thought for everyone listening. A main healer who dies all the time is infinitely worse than a tank support who keeps the team alive simply by existing.
You can't heal if you're dead.
Simple as that. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. Go build some shields, get that health up, and become unkillable. We'll catch you in the next one.
Stay safe out there.